Okay, so the first step is to drive traffic, and I say here actually it's a later step. And the reason why is because traffic costs money. All traffic costs money. People say, oh, not for me, I focus on free traffic. But yeah, and so there is free traffic, but what it's really costing you is your time. So you can either pay for traffic or you can invest time in it by producing content for your blog or articles, that sort of thing. So all traffic has a cost. Why I say this is a later step is because if all traffic has a cost, we don't want to be spending money if we haven't got our ducks in a row first. So the next step in this process, which is figuring out what we call your lead magnet, or what's the high value thing that you're going to give away to capture their details, it actually comes first. But from a logical point of view, if we think of it like a funnel, you're driving traffic into the top of it. So let's look at some of the different traffic generation stuff that we've tested. I'll tell you what works and about each of these traffic sources and when to use them. And we sort of know which ones convert and that sort of stuff. I've organised with Dale. I think we're going to speak on traffic later in the year in a lot more detail, so I'll cover this fairly quickly. But so the first thing we've got there is Google AdWords search. So this is where you type into Google whatever you're searching for, and the ad shows up at the top or the right-hand side of Google. Google AdWords, in my opinion, is the most pure, the most perfect form of advertising in the history of man. And that's a big call. But I'm pretty sure it's right. And the reason why is because if they're actively searching for it, and your ad only shows up when they're searching for it, and so they're searching for it, your ad shows up, they click on it, and your ad takes them through to a relevant page about what they searched for. It's got clear benefits, all that sort of stuff, and a primary course of action. That it doesn't get any better than that, because like if you run an ad in the paper, that's sort of a bit like a broadcast type medium, isn't it? There's people who are interested in all sorts of stuff, so it's nowhere near as good. Search traffic always converts the best. Actually, speaking one-on-one converts best. Then speaking from stage is really good as well, and small meetings. Webinars, that sort of thing is really good as well because you've got multiple medias. But then when it comes down to these sort of things, search traffic will trump just about everything else. And I'll show you some Google Website Optimizer stats later, and you'll see for the same landing page, the stats changed from, on one of them we were getting 50% conversion over 1,000 leads, and others were getting down to like 12% or whatever. And all we did was just change the traffic sources. So you can, conversion matters depending on where you come from. So Google AdWords search is great, but the bad thing about it is it's getting expensive. So unless you know what you're doing, it's a very difficult game. If you've got a serious business, then it's definitely worth having AdWords turned on. But if you can get an AdWords consultant to at least set it up for you, and then you manage it after that, you'll go a lot better. And if your maths aren't really that profitable yet, then it may not be the best way to go. Okay, the next one I've got here is Google AdWords Content Network. So this is where the ads by Google show up on other people's websites. So this doesn't convert as well as Google AdWords search, but it's a much, much bigger traffic source. This thing is enormous if you know how to do it right. And there's two parts to it. There's the text ads, so they look like Google's ads that you'd see in the search, and then there's Google image ads. And Google image ads are just banner ads that show up on other people's websites. And this really is, it's a massive traffic source, and it's also a very cost-effective traffic source. When we work with clients, this is one of the first things that I plug in for them. Like if they've got a free report, free video series or whatever, Google Image Ads is always one of the first things I plug in. And the reason why is because I know that I'm going to be able to get them cost-effective leads for it. Also, another thing about this is Google don't care about the content network. They're not as fussy about that as they are about the search network. So they don't want to be seen as the make money search engine. So they might ban your ads if you're there, if they consider you to be make money. But if if you're just showing ads on the content network, you're less likely to get banned. So anyone we work with who's a bit make money-ish, we say to them, let's avoid Google search. You might be fine, but if Google decides that you'll make money, they'll shut your account down. Let's just focus on the content network because we can get you a truckload of traffic there. And they've also now introduced a pretty cool feature in the last 6 months or so, which is called remarketing. And I see a few blanks there, so I'll explain what that means. Remarketing means that if someone's come to your website, what Google does is they actually put like a little tracking cookie in their browser. And every time they go to another website where there's a same size ad position, they'll show your ad. So they came to your website because they were interested in your subject matter, right? But now if everywhere they're browsing around the web, they keep seeing your ads. They think, gee, this Greg Cass is a big player. I see him everywhere. And I may not really be that big a player and just, switched on and turned on remarketing. So if anyone's doing, this, make sure you turn on remarketing because it really does change your market's perception of you. Very, very clever strategy, that. Yahoo and Bing, so they've got now what's called a search alliance. This is a really good traffic source like Google Adwords. Bless you. Yeah, like Google Adwords, so it's a very pure form of traffic, as in it's going to convert well because they're actively searching for it, like we discussed. Other great thing about it is that it's more cost effective. Nearly any market you think of, you can get on the first page there for a fraction of the cost of Google. And the reason why is because most people just don't know how to do it or don't think of it. They think, oh, it's too small. My stats in Australian market, it works out to be roughly 12 to 20, probably 12 to 18% of the size of Google. But overseas, like US and that, sort of works out to be roughly a quarter. So what it'll give you is it'll give you high converting, low cost leads. So that's why it is worth doing. A bit of a catch to it, you set them up in one spot. In Australia, you set them up in a thing called Yahoo Search Marketing. And if you're in anywhere else in the world, you set up the exact same campaign in a thing called Microsoft Ad Center. It'll change in Australia as well, but that's just the way it is at the moment.